It's common to feel unworthy of love, but uncommon to talk about it. So we're going to talk about it. We want you to know your worth so you remind others of theirs. I am your host, Eryn Eddy Adkins, and this is the So Worth Loving podcast. So right before we hit record, we were trying to figure out how we met.
Yes.
How
and
was
we
that?
didn't get there yet.
Yeah, what was it?
Want to say there's so many mutual friends involved.
Yeah.
Because I remember as soon as you walked in, I knew who you were. I feel like we had maybe talked on a
Social
DM
media
or something like
maybe.
that,
That's what
where
it
it was like, oh my God, Eryn, hello.
Because
It
we
was like,
took a picture.
We
like,
literally
we were
took a photo.
excited
The
to see each
first
other.
thing we did, it was me, you, and Laura. We took a photo.
Or maybe we were just kindred spirits. I don't know. Maybe it was just like...
That happened. That's part of it, obviously.
But then like we reconnected when I moved... Because I was in Brookhaven when we met, and then we reconnected when I lived in Serenbe.
Yes.
You had just moved over on the other side where Trilith is.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And I came to see you in Serenbe, and I remember in your beautiful little house with that little garden and the fountain.
The plunge pool.
You made like a little charcuterie board.
I did.
It was just so sweet.
That's
yeah.
true.
You were writing the book.
We had a bottle of wine. We just sat and we talked about life.
Yes.
And, that house, it was so crazy living there too, because it was... One of my friends, they were selling it, and they were like, if you can make it look pristine, you can live there. And I lived there for a couple months, and I felt like I was in Europe for
oh my God,
a minute.
It was so beautiful.
Such a sweet,
so beautiful.
But we really dug into like, because we share something mutual. We both had gone through divorce.
Yeah.
And we were
recently at that time.
I remember you gave me like, you were like, hey, I'm cleaning out my closet. I have like some clothes I want to give you. And then you like gave me like 10 bags of trash bags of clothes. And I was like, I'm set. God just knew I was broke.
Yeah.
And then here are all these beautiful...
that season where it was almost like I was coming out of a season because I had been like designing jewelry and doing all these like events and all this kind of stuff. And I was kind of done with all that. And I was stepping into Good Grit magazine and doing all that. And you were coming into that season where you were writing this book and you were developing this brand and all this stuff. And I knew, you know, you like needed those things. So
sweet. What would you say people know you for publicly, and what do people know you for privately?
I mean, I just don't live at all thinking anyone knows me any way publicly.
I know
so
that.
I just don't even. I mean, I think Good Grit is like a huge, gift.
Share a little bit about what Good Grit magazine
is.
So
Good Grit magazine actually was started by my best friend and business partner, Laura Quick. We're actually coming up on 10 years.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy. 10 years. So she started it on her own 10 years ago. She read an article in the New York Times that was talking all about Southern culture. And that was like her biggest inspiration. And she was like, why in the world is the New York Times telling this story?
Yeah.
Started the magazine and started with a format of guest editors. So it was kind of this really genius way to bring people in, bring their people in, write these stories. And, I think I did my guest edit maybe 2017. I had a jewelry line at the time. I was designing jewelry, and I was in like Nordstrom and like boutiques and all this kind of stuff.
That's so cool.
And so she wanted to do kind of a fashion focused issue. So I was the guest editor, and we just clicked so well, and like all the stories were so great, and it was just, we worked really well together. Her and I are so opposite.
Yeah.
And so we just worked really well together and played off each other's strengths, but it kind of was also like she was kind of talking to me about like, hey, what if you just like come on board and do this with me? It was so much work for her on her own.
Yeah.
And so I did, but I was like, we've got to rebrand and make this its own thing. Because right now it's kind of at the mercy of whoever comes to the table, and everyone coming to the table was fantastic, but we knew that had a shelf life.
Yeah. Right.
And so we kind of just did like this rebrand, and we're able to make it its own thing, which it still is now, and coming up on 10 years, we're kind of like, it's transitioning now into being really, really focused on the great places in the Southeast to travel to. I mean, you have these amazing cities in the South, Atlanta and Nashville and Birmingham and all these great places, but the small towns are, to me, like the honeypot.
Yes.
It kind of breaks my heart when I hear like people from, that are international tourists to the United States, and they're like, we're going to go to New York. And like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I love New York. New York's an amazing city. Or if they talk about the Southeast, it's like, oh yeah, I've been through Atlanta.
Yeah.
But there's so many like sweet little towns, amazing artists, amazing artisans. And it's also gorgeous, like North Georgia and, the Blue Ridge Trail and all. I mean, it's beautiful.
Well, and all those small towns, I feel like really make the state itself.
Yes, for sure.
That's where the Southern lifestyle.
Yeah, and the Southern hospitality and
those small towns.
Yeah,
it's not the big places.
Yeah, and those are like our favorite. So kind of shifting now, coming up on the 10 years, into like that being the real focus.
That's so cool. So so you do that publicly. What else do you do?
I just love to build. Like I'm just a builder. And I definitely, I just turned, okay, this is funny that I just said that because I love to say I just turned 40. It's my favorite thing.
Have you been saying that for like 3 years?
I am going to be 41 in like a couple weeks. My birthday is in a couple weeks. So I actually didn't just turn 40. I'm heavily into 40. I'm about to be 41. And I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I forgot.
You're a builder.
Yeah. See, I'm forgetting.
No, I got you
too. I'm into 40 now. I don't even know what I was saying now. And you know, part of even like with Good Grit, I love the towns and I love to be like a part of that build. So the town where I live, it's called Trillith. It's just south of Atlanta. A ton of the movie industry moved into there. I actually grew up there. So it's
I didn't know that.
Really crazy to be somewhere that like literally was like this. And like we had field parties out there. And now it's like they shoot Marvel movies. And
that's so crazy.
Oh, it's crazy.
I didn't realize you grew up. Is it Fayetteville?
Yeah. No, I grew up there. I went to school, school there. Never in a million years thought I would live there as an adult. And the town, so much of the movie industry has moved to Georgia. Yeah. And specifically there also. So this, town has kind of popped up there. And it's great because it's all very like locally owned. All the restaurants, all the shops, there's nothing commercial. There's nothing that's a chain, all that. So I got really into like, I was renovating and flipping houses. And then the movie industry was there and they need rentals because you film these movies. You're not in a city. Yeah. There's not a lot of hotels. And people come for 6 months to a year. They bring their family. They need somewhere to stay. So I was just like, well, what if I just hold on to one of these and I furnish it and, see what happens. So that worked out really well and then turned into a couple. And then I started helping other people do that, like do the renovations, rent out to the studio, all that kind of thing. And then COVID hit. Cool. And so like all my renters didn't want to go back to LA, didn't want to go back to New York. And so they ended up just staying like the whole time. And it was so great because I kind of got to be a part of making home for them, Cool. And I think when I look through like all these things that I've done or that I work on or do, I think the core of it really is like hospitality. Yeah. And I think there's a part of me that because my home life broke, that it's almost like the way I get to balance it back out.
Oh, that's really beautiful,
it's just
Shelly.
that like getting to create home for like another family or like have this great hospitality moment. And I opened a store in the town that I live in called Curator. And really I did it selfishly because I couldn't find the stuff I wanted. It really anywhere on the south side of Atlanta. Yeah. Those are the things that's such a good reminder too that like AI is not going to take over everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? People love people. People love to try on their clothes, all that. So it's kind of the same thing. It's again under that umbrella of Southern hospitality, helping a town grow, helping families grow. When you have good people, I mean, you can't beat that. You can't beat that and you can't buy that. Right.
Well, I love what you said about maybe some of your hospitality came from when witnessing and experiencing firsthand like a brokenness of a family and a home. Yeah. I just think that's really profound that you can create art like that. Did you, I don't want to ask this. How did you overcome heartbreak to want to create? Because I know that's a big question. Yeah. But that's so hard for anybody, whether it's like heartbreak from a relationship, heartbreak from a death, heartbreak, a loss. Yeah. Like it's hard to create after that. Some people create from that. Yeah. Some people can't bounce out of it. Yeah. How did that
I think for me, I almost see it in a different way. Like it's not coming out of that in order to create. It's like, that's how I did come out of that, And I'm that way, even if I'm just sad about the world, like what's going on in the world. If I've like watched the news too much or something, I will be like, invite all my friends over and I'm going to cook a big, beautiful dinner because it's just like, there is still so much goodness, but I do think you have to be proactive about goodness.
Yeah.
If you sit around and wait on it, it's going to be hard, And so I think that I feel the most just human when I'm creating, whether that's like, I love to garden, I love to paint, I love to cook. Yeah. Like, I have to be doing stuff with my hands. I cannot be on a screen all day.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously we all have days where we have to do that. And then, but I can feel, I just feel so different and not in a good way.
Yeah.
If I haven't been doing something, those are the things that like get me out of a funk, no matter what the funk is, know?
Proactive. Yeah. That's it. So have you always been that way? Like, were you like that as a little girl?
I really have.
Yeah.
I really have.
Because you said you had a jewelry company.
Yeah. So I like one of my girlfriends the other day, I was at, her and her husband did this really beautiful, kind of like a conference, and they had all these creatives come, and they had just a bunch of people they know and work with, and they just wanted to like network and talk, and everybody kind of explain what they're working on, and she was introducing me to another one of her friends, and she said it like so sweetly, and she was like, Shelly always has like these great dinners and does all this stuff, and she was like, and her house is just like so beautifully lived in. Oh, and it's like, I know what you mean there, but thank you for saying it. I just am like, one thing, and I've told this to so many like younger women and especially younger moms, like, do not buy the lie that your house has to be perfect to have people over. Yeah. Just have people over. You will go crazy if you isolate yourself because there's like a little bit of a mess, whatever. I don't even notice it anymore. Yeah. I just like, and it's not like my house is like disgusting, but I've got 5 kids, and I've got their friends are always there, and I'm kind of messy too. Like I like if I have a project, I want to leave the project out until I finish it, or even until I'm just in the mood to deal with it again. Yeah. And I don't worry about it. So
you said you have 5 kids. How have you balanced like mom guilt and building businesses?
I mean, I haven't.
Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, are you a superhero? I will say, I just don't think I've really balanced anything. I think I just have like, I was talking to one of my daughter's good friends recently, and I feel very lucky where I have these younger girls that work in the store, that kids' friends, all that kind of stuff, and it's such a blessing to get to like pour into them. Yeah, and we were talking about just failure and like what that looks like. And, if you think things are going to work out one way and they don't. And I told her, I was like, I still have all the thoughts and all the feelings that you have. I've just learned how to realign quicker. And that's it. It's not, the enemy loves those lies. Yep. I still have them all. Yep. They all cross my mind. All the, too much, too little, unworthy, all those thoughts still go through my mind just like yours. But as you mature, you just, you learn to catch those lies and realign quicker. And that's all that it is. True. It's not that they're not there. Yeah. Right. I mean, maybe for someone it is, but not me.
How did you get to that point where you were able to exercise that muscle?
I mean, learning where identity comes from. I mean, I think that was a huge thing that, even just going through a divorce taught me, was like, I had so much identity in being a wife and being a mom all the time, and that was like, and I think in one way, I got to like lean on that a little bit, and I didn't have to confront other things because I was so busy with all that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I can, look back now and see like when you have a bunch of little kids at home, I mean, it's like, I think I blacked out for like 5 solid years, Right. But I think,
because how old are your kids from young?
So I've got, my oldest is 18 now and my youngest is 10. So I've got like, they're so self-sufficient and so fun now. And,
but then,
and teenagers are so fun. People with like young kids, people will love to use, like they used to tell me like, just wait till they're teenagers. It's gonna be awful. They're so fun. Yeah. I love teenagers. They are incredible humans. Yeah. They need to be heard. They need to be listened to. They need to be valued. And they lie and they do stupid stuff but I mean, I did too. Yeah, I don't know who is supposed to get out of that, I don't know. But
you grow out of it.
But I think as far as realigning goes, though, I think you have to keep diving into identity. And I think, I mean, obviously, like, staying in God's word, staying around people with a much deeper knowledge of that.
Yeah.
I don't listen to everybody, you know? And I think, especially for me, one of the things that's has been so important is finding women that are older than me and that really, like, know the word and really live it out. And they're the women that I look at and I'm like, oh my God, I want to be like you, you know? Because I mean, I run across older women all the time that I'm like,
could not be like you.
I'm not really trying to go that way. You know what I mean? Like, and not for anything terrible, but just for, like, it's just not how I want to grow, you know? And I care so much about what younger women think of me. Because when I say older, I think of like a decade plus.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Not like 42.
Right.
You know? It's like, we're the same. Okay. Even though I just turned 40.
You just turned 40. So
turned 40. It's fine. I care so deeply about what women 10 years younger than me are looking at me and what kind of example they see, you know? And I think that's the gift of getting older, is that we get to do that for each other. And I think that's a really beautiful way of growing older. I took my oldest daughter to New York a couple months ago, and I caught her, like, I was looking at her, and just like the light was hitting her face. She was so beautiful. And she's like 18. She has like perfect skin and, you know, all this stuff. And I just remember thinking, like, that's for her. Not like, because, you know, I mean, like, I've tried the things. I've tried the Botox and I've tried the things or whatever. Like, I've learned to just love lines on my face. You know, like, my 18-year-old daughter does not need me to try to look like her. Yeah. She needs me to age with some grace and to, like, be okay with that. Yeah. You know? It doesn't mean I don't, like, do the, like, lotions and, like, oh, maybe this will help and, you know, whatever. Listen, it doesn't mean I'm, you know.
Ask my husband the amount of, like, lotions and gua sha walla wallas that I try to do on
my face. But I think.
I try.
Yeah. But I think it was, like, really cool to just look and, you know, she just doesn't need that from me, you know. Yeah. She needs me to.
I love that you said it's for her.
It's for her. That type of beauty, because it's a type of beauty. It's not the beauty. You know, the ultimate beauty doesn't mean you don't have any lines on your face or you don't have any, you know, spots and whatever. I mean, you saw me just put makeup on in the bathroom.
We all do.
You know. But, you know, I think especially the people you live with, like, they're going to see you and, you know and all that stuff. And I just don't want to be, like, really focused on that all the time. Yeah. So
how did you, was that modeled for you growing up? Or, I mean, or is that something that you just personally decided to do because you were, like, watched how people can be obsessed over it, and so you're like, I don't want to do that. Like, how did you get there?
I am such an observer.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like I can't put my finger on ideas or on things like that, but there is that kind of quality sometimes where you're like, I don't think I have to do that. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it does, I mean, it's such an obsession now, like the beauty standards and all this kind of stuff. And I'm really lucky because I am surrounded by women who, like, I mean, we'll try stuff here and there and we talk about it and we're open about it, but, like, it's just not, no one's frozen. Right. You know what I mean? And no one's, like, you know, acting like they don't do anything or acting like, you know, they need to look so different or whatever. So I think it is a lot about who you're around and who you surround yourself with. And, you know, what does beauty mean? I think, but I have so many women in my life who are, like, just beautiful to the core.
Your oldest is 18.
Yeah. I have an adult.
You have an adult.
I know.
How old were you when you had?
I was a baby. I was 21.
You were 21. Mm-hmm. What would you tell your youngest self, what you know now?
Oh my gosh. At that age, I was just so filled. I was kind of just blowing in the wind. It was almost like, you know, whatever whatever the cultural norm was my norm also. And whatever, who I was hanging out with. And I don't think I had a strong identity in that season of life, And I'm so grateful for the way it went. I love that my entire 20s, I had kids, like all of my 20s. And I think that it was the greatest gift to me, because I probably would have been doing so much stupid stuff had I not been at home,
like with the accountability,
raising babies, having another baby, all the time. I just think God knows what I would have done.
Yeah.
What
were you finding your worth in your 20s and 30s?
I mean,
when's the discovery?
It is kind of funny to think about the decades, right?
Yeah.
Like to think back now, because I think a lot now, like, okay, what do I want 40s to be? And I think 20s 20s to me just feels so lost when I think about it. And not necessarily in a bad way, but because, I literally was just with like all these little kids, like I was just like taking care of them. But I think what that taught me was the beauty of kids is that it teaches you it's not just about you. I feel like 30s for so many people is like the mountain. And then you climb the mountain and you fall off the mountain. I don't know. Because 30s for me, it was like, again, young kids and then like total career shifts after kids and then divorce and like rebuild. I literally started life completely over.
Is there anything that you were pursuing to try to help fill voids in that time period?
I was like really deeply searching for more. And so I was searching for like the supernatural side, right? And so you don't always find that at church though, but there's this whole world that is so trendy with just occult stuff, and like, oh, I did everything. Like I literally would look to tarot cards.
Yeah.
To like tell me how the day was going to go.
Yeah.
And now I look back at that woman and I'm like, I remember like literally sitting in my closet, like, just thinking like, and really believing like, okay, this is, I guess maybe it made hard things feel like they were meant to be in a way. Which maybe that allowed me to wrap my brain around it more. I loved all that stuff. And I was so into it. And fortunately for me, I remember I was actually one time, this is kind of embarrassing to say sometimes, but
I want it.
I was actually at like a rock and crystal like show, like where you go and it's like they like set up all like, it's like not like a trade show.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like to buy them wholesale?
To buy them, whatever. And there was this lady that was standing at the booth next to me. And I also like love creation and I love flowers and I love, crystals are beautiful, but they're part of creation. They're not the thing you go to,
they're not like a god.
No.
That you go to.
They're not.
But do people go to those things?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And because every crystal is supposed to like ward off certain things or, shift the energy and all this kind of stuff. So I was at one of these shows and this woman was next to me. She had her AirPods in and I kind of we went to grab the same stone. Okay. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she was like, no, you're okay. And she was like, sorry, I have my frequency music in because I just don't want to absorb anything from anyone else. And I remember in that moment thinking, is that what we're doing? Like, is that like what we're doing where everyone else is actually a problem? Like isolating ourselves into this idea that we have these powers or that we have to be so protected and so isolated from light. We were in like a high school gymnasium, ma'am. But I also know she was coming from. There was pain there.
Sure.
There was pain there. Somehow, someone did something to her along the way, and she feels the need to go that route. And I did too.
Yeah.
And I think that the danger in that is that there's such a low ceiling. Because it enables you to feel like you're God. It enables you to feel like it is up to you, you know, the direction of your life, what you manifest, how you do everything, and that everything's on you. And there's times in life where that can feel really good when it's going well.
Yeah.
The problem is when it doesn't go well, that all falls back on you. And that's a really lonely place to be.
Right.
Because I think that when you walk in faith through hard things, you have a God that is so big and that is so real and that is so, you know, present. And you're not alone. Yeah. And you know that things happen and bad things happen. We are never promised this, you know, if you believe in God, God is not a genie in a bottle.
Yeah.
You know, we're never promised this life where everything's going to work out really well.
Yeah.
If you believe harder.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Gosh,
I think
so true.
I think there's still I think there's so much confusion with that.
Yeah.
You know, there's kind of this, you know, I've even had friends where, you know, they don't want to go to church because they just feel like we all know people, you know, they feel like it's not for them. They feel like they're not those people. Like there is nowhere for broken, angry, bitter, hateful, you know, like you have all these things that like are part of being human. We all have one of those qualities, and like really understanding that that brokenness belongs in church the most. Like I feel when I think about that list of, you know, the sides of ourselves that aren't great, when I think about that list and looking at it through the lens of a broken human, I feel like I'm like the most qualified Christian.
Yeah.
Right, I have all those things. Right. You know, like I'm so good at being a Christian. Not because I'm like perfect and walk, you know, the way Jesus did and I don't judge anybody, but because I am so wildly broken in so many places. And again, it's just, that's the realignment that happens, is that, you know, it's not, I know now. And there's times where I think it was easier when I didn't know, because I could keep being messy.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Now it's like,
well, I love what you said about like it's the reason you pursued those things was to maybe be able to rationalize or give an answer to why bad things are happening, or at least you can like be in control over them. It's almost like it's desiring control and chaos.
I think a big part of it also within that world of things is it lets you control it, but it also lets you blame other people, because it's gonna, you know, like it's gonna ward off, like the woman. It's warding off other people's negative energy, because obviously, they're the problem. You know, no matter what avenue you take in that world, you are looking to some point in creation, not the creator. You're looking to nature, to the stars, you're looking to a human, you're looking to, you know, all these different things. And that's where the danger lies, is you're taking this huge story. You're taking God's huge story and you're breaking off these pieces and making specific pieces just about yourself.
Yeah. Gosh, that's true.
And that is that can feel good for a minute, because you feel special.
Yeah.
You feel special. You feel chosen. You feel like you know more than other people. Like you kind of have this, you know,
insight.
Yes,
you
this
insightful.
Big insight. But then, you know, that's a lonely, because you're not part of a story. You are the story.
Yeah. Oof.
You know, and that's just not how it really is. You know,
what was the point in which you decided to like? Did you throw away your tarot cards? Throw away your crystals?
How was that?
What? Tell me.
You think I gave you a lot of bags of clothes, girl?
How many crystals did you own?
No, I didn't really have. I don't think I had that many, but I also really liked them. Like I had them around the house, like candle holders and stuff like that. But I just really was like, I'm just gonna be done with this kind of stuff. Like if it even resembled it, I just tossed it.
Yeah,
and I was like, I'm done with this. And
What was there a breaking point for you to go, this isn't working?
You know what? It was definitely, I don't think there was one breaking point.
Okay.
But there was I had a lot of people in my life who were really helping me understand why that wasn't the path, and why, and really helping me understand why it was a lie, and why it was so misleading, and the way that they made me understand that was through scripture.
Wow.
It was like, it all can come back to the book. It's not like, hey, this is my opinion. Hey, this is your opinion. It was very much rooted in something real.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's where the value comes in having people in your life that are so much more spiritually mature than you are.
Yeah.
And why we need it so, so badly.
Yeah. That's good, Shelly. You said, you were talking about being broken, and how you were like, I'm a really good Christian when I can say that I'm messy and I have all these things. What would you say to somebody that struggles with the idea of being broken when they struggle with worth? Because I feel like when you struggle with worth, it's really hard. Like, it almost feels like you are belittling yourself more by saying you're broken. So what would you say to somebody that is struggling with their worth and then that label too?
I think when people struggle with their worth, a huge part of it is the isolation of thinking that you're the only one that does. And I would just say that to not forget the importance of being really vulnerable with people that you're close with, and also making sure you have to be proactive about your life no matter what. And you have to be proactive about, at least trying to find other people or making friendships. I mean, I tell my kids this all the time. I'm like, all relationships take work, even friendships. Friendships take work.
What are some things that you've done, maybe even if you're being disciplined in it and it's still freely being, because I know you're a free spirit too, but what are some things that you've done that have, I mean, you said scripture. I mean, is there scriptures? Do you do quiet time? Do you read books? Do you surround yourself with people? I'm not one of those people that has like a morning routine. I don't get up at 5 a.m. I don't cold plunge. One of the things for me is like, I do stay really open. I want so badly to be a person that pays attention. I want to be someone who has an open door and who loves people really well. We live in such a world where everything's like, this is mine. This is my side of this grass and the fence and all these kind of things. And I think that just like really seeing the humanness in other people too, and just trying to accept the brokenness in yourself and also accept the brokenness in other people. It's so much easier to tell other people what they should do. I mean, I like that a lot better. Like, let me tell you what you need to do instead of like looking in the mirror, And I think one thing that I've learned to be really, really true is like the things that you're really looking at other people or blaming other people for are actually the things, if you flip that on its head, that's kind of somewhere in you. And obviously I don't mean someone's abusing or whatever, the critical
but I mean the critical voice that you have going out to other people is, you've really got to look at that. And I get more critical with other people when I'm not doing a good job of realigning myself. I wish I could say I journal every day and I do 15 minutes of quiet time and I do this workout routine. I just don't. I'm just not, like that. I take care of myself enough, and I walk and get steps in or whatever.
Well, you're just realigning who you want to become.
And I think it's just, it's a day-to-day thing, and it doesn't just have to be one way of doing that.
You mentioned something in the beginning of our conversation about how in your 20s you were more receptive culturally of how to live. How is that? You've definitely broken free from that of who you've become now. How has it been dating after divorce? Because I feel like culturally, there are things that are how women should be or should live their best life. I'm curious what your opinion is of that.
I don't date a lot.
Yeah.
I've been really fortunate though. Like I haven't had any bad experiences. There's
That's
really
awesome.
great. Well, I think it comes from not dating a lot.
That's probably true. Yeah. Too many bad stories.
But there are really great people out there. I just think that there's so much pressure put on the way you should do it and how, what you should say and what you should not say and all this kind of stuff. And there's obvious things you should say and not say.
Yeah.
But I also think that if there's a person for you that's going to help you in that walk and that's going to help you in your life, that you really can't do anything to screw that up too badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I think that there's different pressures for different spaces, there's like Christian culture says you're complete if you are married.
Yeah.
Pop culture, I think, says go live your best life. You deserve it. Earn it. Just totally indulge.
Do whatever you want.
Overindulge.
Whoever you want.
Whoever you want. Yeah, exactly. Just go at it.
Yeah.
And so then there's like these two competing completely opposite cultures.
And at the end of the day, like everybody's human too, and everyone has weaknesses and everyone has, just pain points also. And that's where I think, I don't know, I would just want single people to be able to like rest in the singleness a little bit more. Or maybe be advised to just rest in it a little bit more because there's so much to learn. I think you see...
And I think you can say that because you have been married, you've gone through a divorce, and you've been single, you've been a single mom. Like, that gives more validity because I feel like when I was single, when people would tell me that, I would just get so pissed off.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, don't tell me to just be content with single. I'm mad that my marriage ended.
Yeah.
So it was like, it felt like a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
To a bigger wound.
Well, and I get that.
But you're saying...
But think about this too, like where, even for you, like dating or the feeling of like, I need to meet someone or I need to do this or whatever. And like those dates that you went on in that mode really didn't hinder or help you meeting your husband.
Right. Exactly.
If
anything, it would have probably... It hurt some things because I came with
all of that
stuff.
But at the same time, you learned stuff.
Yeah.
True. And so it's different. Again, it's like, we're all on the path, and again, it's just resting in the sovereignty. It just always comes back to that for me. Like,
and explain sovereignty for somebody that doesn't know what that is.
I just think that if you rest in God has a bigger plan. He knows.
Yeah.
Leaning into him is where it's going to work out. Because leaning into him, it doesn't mean it's going to go as you plan.
Yeah.
God never does anything on my timing. At all. I think just really being able to radically accept where you're at.
Yeah.
And also lean into where you are responsible for making changes in that. There's so many places in my life that I can be doing better.
Yeah.
But I think there's a difference in feeling the pressure of it versus leaning in to your faith and doing that out of love because you want to.
Yeah.
And not doing it out of...
insecurity
and just this legalism.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to, and because there's shame attached to that if you don't.
Our whole byline is know your worth, remind others of theirs. What would you say to somebody that's just feels really alone in their struggle with believing that they're worth loving?
Whoever you're looking at, and you're thinking that they have it all figured out and you just don't. There's a hiding in that, right? There's like there's a secrecy, there's a shame, and there's just this hiding in that because you don't want to reveal where your issues are, your problems are, where you're stuck, But great people become great because they got through being stuck.
Yeah.
And they've believed all those lies, and they've made all those mistakes, and they've failed, and they've felt stuck and felt unworthy. And I think just to remember that you're not alone in that. We went to that women's seminar, not seminar, but like the weekend,
like a women's weekend thing.
Yeah. And I remember one of the most impactful moments in that was all these women who had never met each other. They had all of us go up to a whiteboard and write down like, what's our lie? And my lie was always that I was too much, just too much to deal with, too much everything.
Yeah.
And I could not believe you had like, I don't know, 100, maybe over 100 women on these huge whiteboards, maybe like 5 or 6 whiteboards they had spread. On 5 or 6 whiteboards, over 100 answers, there were maybe 3 answers.
Wow.
They were all the same.
Too much was one of
them. Too much, not enough, or unworthy.
Yep.
No one planned that.
Hundreds of women.
No one talked about that. Like, think about how crazy that is. Because we all feel so unique in our unworthiness. And that's the biggest lie that there is that your unworthiness or your feelings of unworthiness is unique to you.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I think that just finding people that you can really share and be vulnerable with, and that they will share back with you also, right? I think that's the hard part to me about, and I think therapy is great. I think everybody should do it, but a therapist isn't going to share back with you. You know, if they do, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, no,
go to them.
Therapists are
a little
supposed to
weird.
help you with your voice, not give you
but
theirs.
finding people that you really can trust, that can share those moments with you about
that's why community is so important.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have that. If you feel like you don't have anybody, and a lot of times people don't have anybody that they just trust.
Yeah,
that they trust to share those really deep things with. I've had those moments like at the airport.
Yeah, really.
Where someone said something like so impactful, or where I had the opportunity to say something impactful to people. So I think remaining open to that and like really praying about that need. Yeah. I think is, I think opens that door in a big way.
Gosh, feeling like we feel like we are unique, and feeling unworthy is such a lie. That's wild. That's so true. That just made me. That's true, because that's why we keep it safe. Yeah. That's why we keep it. Yeah. That's why we don't talk about it.
Yeah, it's like our little messed up treasure.
It is a treasure that
that just is like it's only ours. No one understands. You know, I can't share it with anybody, and that those things they're just not unique.
That's so good.
And I think just remembering that and trying to hold on to that and just being open, like, because all that just bricks up. It just hardens your heart in such big ways. And I've had places in my heart that have been so hardened and that take a long time to soften, but that's the only way to do that. It turns out the crystals don't.
They don't.
I tested it out, and as it turned out,
they didn't do it
so well.
Shelly, thank you for coming and sharing your story.
I'm so glad.
With me.
I mean,
and all the people.
You need. Yeah, no, I love it.
And all the team here.
I love it. It's so fun.
This was wonderful. Well, where can people find your work? All the things you were talking about earlier.
So goodgritmag.com is Good Grit Magazine. You can follow along on socials. You can subscribe to the magazine so that you get it in your mailbox. It's so fun. And I think, print is not dead, no matter what anybody says.
Agreed.
And it's so beautiful. Like, our paper is so beautiful. It's like a textured cover. It's so wonderful. And then also Curator. I have, you can shop online too, curator.shop. And also in Trillith, which is just a little south of Atlanta. It's a really fun town now. You can actually go and spend a couple of hours. And the bookstore is called Scholar and Scribe. It's down there and it's amazing and sweet and nostalgic.
And you do like book signings and stuff too.
Yeah.
With different authors
everything
that come through.
Everything. Yep.
It's awesome.
Yep. I love you.
Love you.